This video is called When Bob Goes to Rehab. What happens? Well, I've been to rehab before a couple of times, and I can tell you, the rehab directors don't want me in there. I disagree with them. They disagree with me. I challenge the whole system, the whole American system on it. I disagree with once an addict, always an addict. I believe when people go back to use, it's a choice. I disagree with the church and them. I disagree that it's a sin to use a medicine. I disagree that they should be in control of all of that. I think people should be able to use a medicine when they want to use a medicine and be warned about it. And there should be pressure not to use, often in a different kind of way, though. Shouldn't be considered the unpardonable sin and all this kind of stuff. And they should have natural and better medicines. But back then, when I had been in rehabs, first of all, I'm a health nut. I like staying even off caffeine as much as possible. I've lost so much sleep in recent years. I've done more caffeine, but I still battle to get back off it. And I've used tricks like using chocolate milk so I'm not doing dark chocolate candy too much, so I'm not getting as much caffeine. I wean off of coffee by doing dark chocolate or chocolate, sometimes green tea, and then wean off of that, or vice versa. Wean off of tea by doing coffee, a little chocolate, wean back off it, and then I go back on it a little bit. If I lose a night of sleep, I go do more chocolate milk again. Well, but I mean, I have tricks to try to manage it, maintain it, and keep it to a minimal. But for the most part, you know, I've had relapses, and I rationalize it's. I don't purposely rationalize it. I don't pre-plan relapses. I have real relapses when I've gone out and done stuff that's not acceptable to society. That's I'm not going to say it's not acceptable to me. I think it's acceptable to me to do small doses of some of those things around if it's legal. I think it should be legal. I'll put it like that. In that sense, it's acceptable to me. I'm not promoting it. I don't promote hustling it. I don't promote selling those things. I don't promote pushing those things for a couple of reasons. Because I'm not going to promote something that gets somebody in trouble. So I don't agree with the law, but I'm not promoting what gets people in trouble. But anyway, back to this is supposed to be somewhat funny, but I go to rehab. I don't, for myself though. I do want to get to a point where I don't feel like I need a crutch or somewhere to escape to, and I can live. And I don't want it just to be because I'm getting too old to date. You know, if I wanted to find a girlfriend, you could say I always look for love in all the wrong places. I am me. I'm 52, about to turn 53 in next month. In a month and a half from now, I'll turn 53. And I'm not probably going to do my push-ups this year. I might do some, but not any. I'm not going to do 530 push-ups for my 53rd birthday. I don't think I am. Maybe if I get in shape, I will. But it hurt my shoulder last year doing that. So my shoulder's getting better, though, finally. Anyway, I can't go back and have children, raise a family, find that soulmate. Maybe I'll still find a soulmate somehow. But I've been looking for a soulmate. I'm picky in that I'm looking for a soulmate, and I've never found a soulmate. I've met a lot of pretty women and all that kind of stuff, but we weren't matches. I didn't try to have one night stands with them and all that. I didn't do that. You know, I was looking for the real thing. But I mean, I've been caught in situations that were tempting. I've done well to steer from it because I didn't want to be accused of doing a one night stand. I feared that label. But that kept me out of trouble, paranoia, being paranoid and being accused of that kept me away from that. But also, I didn't find spiritual women that like the conversation I'm having right now, who want to get in that battle. They're scared to talk religion or politics, along with everybody else, or they'll get real mad. And a lot of them are on the opposite side. A lot of them I meet are Democrat, and I'm Republican, and they're very hateful to Republicans and can't have a conversation, and will start demonizing you for some of your views, whether you're pro-life or something else. Some of them agree with pro-life, but still stay Democrat because they think Republicans are the racist party. But really, the truth is, Democrats are the racist party. If you want to generalize it, I mean, there's some racist in every party, but the party that supports real racism is the Democrat Party. Republicans support one nation under God, which shows that all men are created equal under God, one human race. That's what it indicates. Okay, but I sure didn't want to get off on a tangent here, but so I'll try to stop at 5 minutes and 30 seconds. I'm at 4:51. So Bobby, when he goes to rehab, he'll say, "But I want to say my high power's name. Jesus Christ. All right. So people think I should be ashamed to mention Jesus Christ. I mean, for his sake, not for mine. But you know what? I am who I am. I mean, I can't change what my temptations are. I can't change which ones I've given into in the past. I can't change stuff that's happened to me when I've been blacked out because somebody gave me a something that knocks you out or whatever, steals from me or whatever. I'm not gonna go into all that, but I can't change those things. I can't change the fact that I've been punked by people by them giving me stuff that blacks me out. I can't change the fact that at times I've wanted to get carried away when I wasn't sober. So that stuff has happened. But that's not when I do relapse. I'll say I want to get back on that subject. I want to quit organically. I've seen people go to rehabs for a year, come back out, and they're back in the temptation and didn't learn how to deal with the temptation and they relapse again. All right. And I'm not saying I need to learn how to deal with all the temptation. To have a I'd like to have a place of my own. I'm not successful. I am that loser. I'm the one that's never been successful at age 52. I can't change that. And at 52 going on 60 and 70, it's going to be hard to prove that, I look young and pretty healthy, dateable in that sense. But some people will say well, the only reason you're doing good now is cuz you're too old to party anymore or this or that. No, I've got plenty of energy for that kind of stuff. Social energy. I'm not one of those people that says don't talk religion or politics. I'm always ready to have some kind of conversation and share my life and be helpful to somebody or try to learn something or whatever. And I believe in that. It's dead and dull and boring. I mean, I lived in Fort Lauderdale and with the American drug cartel, the homeless American drug cartel, and they don't allow you to talk at all. You're not allowed to talk. And I do believe. I mean, I look back at it and study it more, but I think the American drug cartel is very active in Florida compared to other states. And down there, and from Miami on up to West Palm Beach, uh, it's very active because it doesn't get cold. So they have the whole year, 24 hours a day, to do their business. And I think that's part of the reason they're more active than others in some ways. They're more connected. They're a little bit more connected. And so that's important to notice, not that I want to demonize the whole drug cartel completely because the government put it into their hands. And so I have some updates on observations on all those things, but I've also been hindered recently in being able to study and find more things. But at least I got some real life experiences, uh, struggles, and things that I've learned our system creates. And there's some new stuff in our system where the rent's gone up so much uh, for everybody. That's just ridiculous. There's, people don't help people much because nobody has any money left to help anybody. They don't have any charity money set to the side. I mean, come on, $2,000-3,000 a month for rent, and you never even own the place. You're just throwing money away. Come on. What about home ownership? That's the American dream. All right. So I'm in a hot room right now. I'm breaking a sweat, but I'm saying that for the video, but video appearance. But just wanted to say, mostly when Bob goes to rehab. Will Bob go to rehab? No, I don't. I don't see any rehabs I want to go to. I think the whole American system needs to change, and rehab should be a real rehab. There should be no cigarettes. You don't go to say call it a drug rehab and say that and stuff people full of cigarettes and coffee. It needs to be a real nutritional rehab off of all that stuff. You need to have that option. It doesn't have to always be that, but let's define it for what it is. It's a rehab. Okay, if you're doing cigarettes and coffee and stuff in the rehab, then it's a rehab away from a particular drug that people can get in trouble for, or where they can go and get robbed if they use the drug because the dealers robbed the people. And so it's a street medicine that should be probably be legalized in its natural plant form in some way as a tea or something. And so you're in rehab so you don't relapse on a drug that puts you in a dangerous position and outside the crooked law. Even though it's a bad law, it's a sabotage law. It's a rehab that helps you stay away from that. And let's tell the truth here. All right. And let's not call them an addict if they relapse in 30 days. That's not addiction. The addiction phase is 3 days. And so I'm pretty strong on that. And I'm pretty sure I know those things are true. I've seen people who never quit using drugs. I've relapsed and I don't keep going because for one, I have a conscience. I'm not going to steal. You steal everything I have when I go out. So you're hoping I'll steal to keep my addiction going because that's where you're making most of your money apparently. And and then you don't care if somebody goes to jail for doing it for you. From the dealing standpoint, the dealers don't care if they get somebody to start stealing for them and go to jail. Then they get actually give them they actually give them a rink. You got some rink now. So um, there's a lot of psychological warfare, right? So it's more psychological warfare than addiction. But the addiction, the truth about addiction is that it's a 3 day. The addiction phase is 3 days. Most people keep using within those 3 days because you get really tired, super, extremely tired, tireder than you ever seen from working a job and stuff like that. You can get really tired going through withdrawals, and then you just want to use to give you energy. You start within those 3 days. But if you tough it out those 3 days and get past those 3 days, you beat the addiction phase, the main part of the addiction phase. There's still some more, maybe for a week. You might have some other small withdrawals. So you could call that secondary addiction phase. But and it takes 3 weeks to completely get your body. There's a phase where your body goes through cleaning out and you're peeing all day. That take 3 weeks really. So there's some things that's physical stuff, metabolism kicking back in. Your metabolism is repairing. That takes longer, but that's not the addiction phase. And so once you get past that, and then some people, the different stages of life, you go through different things. There's times where I had gone through after 3 or 4 weeks, I'd get insomnia. 3 or 4 weeks of being clean, but I was only dirty for a day. By the way, one day, right? Dirty for one day. I'm cleaning up for 3 weeks, 4 weeks. Then I get insomnia when I get my energy back, and then it's you're tempted to go use because your body's going through stress from insomnia. So, but that's pain, and you if you're using a medicine for pain, that's not uncommon. That's not necessarily an addiction. That's you could partly call it addiction, but once an addict, always an addict. It's like food. It's like spinach. If you don't eat spinach, you'll never miss it. So you do miss uh, the stuff if you liked it. You at some point you're going to think, hey, it's been a while since I've had spinach. I want to try some. But if you are having insomnia, there is a little bit of a draw to take the medicine that relieves that kind of pain, from the pains you get from not being able to sleep, body burns, and so you could call that somewhat of an addiction, but it's not a phase one addiction. We'll call it a phase two or three addiction, or if phase one's the worst. Uh, anyway, I've thought about defining that and calling it phases, and I'm not sure if I hadn't gone back to that in a while. But I may define a phase one, phase two, phase three, phase four, and whether I make phase four the worst phase or phase one the worst phase, I haven't decided. But for now, phase one uh, addiction is, we'll call it, say it's the worst one where you never get past. I won't do it like diabetes. The worst one is 3 instead of 1 on diabetes, right? But phase one addiction will be the worst one. It's the one where you never get past the 3 days, the addiction phase. And that's what I would call a true addict, phase one. Phase two, um, using more than one day in a row. Phase three, I don't know. I'm not sure how to define that. Me, usually if I've ever used, it's been one day, usually one day. And then it still would take 3 weeks before I know my body's completely, metabolism's coming back. And then I'd be tempted, partly because of that, or sometimes eager to just get healthy all the way and see how much better my mind works. So even now, my mind works pretty good from a lot of exercise. So, but the key is, I'm saying I don't want to go to rehabs that aren't honest, first of all, and ones that aren't Christian, and then the Christian ones I haven't agreed with either because they've taken on the world's view of the medicine and called addiction what it is. It's not addiction; it's part of your appetite. So there is a level of addiction, certain level, but it's not what they say, like it's a disease. It's part of your appetite, just like spinach is. If you like spinach, and if you liked the product you chose, it's always going to be in your head. I don't know. I don't believe there's necessarily a miracle that gets rid of me, telling me not to ever eat spinach again. It's a battle I have to choose. I have to choose if I have skin cancer. I have to choose not to go to the beach anymore. And I might be a person who's addicted to going to the beach. I love going to. I've created a habit of going to the beach. Love going to the beach and being out in the sun. And then, but I may not keep that rule all the time. Once I have skin cancer, I might sometimes still want to go to the beach. I've chosen to do that. because I don't want to miss out on everything else. And but some people can say I'm never going to the beach again. Some can do that and stick with that. And to me, that's too boring. So I'm addicted to not being bored. I mean, what? Come on. So I'm just saying, let's be real. And there can be different kind of addiction groups. And if they had stuff legal for consumers, but crack down on the dealers instead, crack down, make dealers have licenses for natural plants. And the first order, when a doctor prescribes a medicine, psychiatrist or a doctor medical, the first thing they should prescribe should be natural stuff, including morphine. Morphine comes from a natural substance, natural plant, and it works. That's what's wrong with it. It works. But believe it or not, those things should be the first thing they prescribe. Not necessarily morphine, maybe something weaker. Cocaine might be weaker than morphine, like a cocaine for pain. Cocaine works for pain and it works for depression. All right, but you can go with the coca leaf herb, and if they have herbal stores where they're licensed to deal the herb, I don't think the doctors have to prescribe that. People can go buy the tea. It's kind of like using turmeric. It's a little stronger than turmeric, but turmeric you can't tell if it's doing much or not. But it's supposed to be good for pain. Turmeric's a spice like garlic and oregano and thyme and cinnamon, and so those are good things. So we haven't learned much about that. I've done experiments with all those things. I've done a lot more than most people to try to stay clean. And I have stayed clean. That's how I've written my books and done other things while I'm clean, not when I'm not sober. So, but the thing that has driven me to relapse the most is actually having been robbed before. Uh, and I didn't mean robbed of money and stuff. I meant of the drugs when I've tested them before. And then I'm thinking, man, I didn't finish testing that out. I wanted to test it out. And I've relapsed for that reason before. But I've relapsed for not always for the drug or whatever. It's been because I want to be around people I can relate to. Tired of being hated on and judged and acting like it's crazy and hearing all this hypochondria, psychotic hypochondriac stuff and lies about medicine and everything else. And I know the truth about it, you know. So in rehabs, I do like rehabs though because if it's a kosher rehab, that's there to just give you some sense of community. So you're around people that have been through some things you've been through. But a lot of them now, the way they're set up, they're in there lying and sometimes helping you connect to better drugs, safer area to do place people to do drugs with. There's sometimes dealers preying on those places, right? They're not telling the truth, and they're not telling the truth about how they got robbed when they were out there. The biggest problem with the illegal drugs is that you get robbed when you do them, or you have to rob to keep doing it. You might be one of the ones robbing people, and that's might be sometimes when I've been in addiction groups. I was sitting there with people who do the robbing and they're playing, and they're sitting there lying in the rehab too. So I mean, to steal from people, you have to lie a lot of times, right? So I mean, the biggest thing is love your neighbor, love God. Thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not kill. Don't covet, don't covet your neighbor's wife, don't commit adultery, don't lie against people, don't tell lies about them, don't bear false witness, all those things. But the two ones we can control the most are don't steal. We can be more astute and bring up don't covet a lot in people's conversations. But don't steal, don't kill, don't assault people, don't harm people. Those are the things we can actually police. You know, that's good policing. Whereas when you're policing, I think you ate too much food. I think you ate too much chocolate. That's a pain in the butt. Now, if you decided to go on a special diet and pay somebody to help you with that, that's something different. But when people are just always trying to control what you take in and stuff, everybody's appetite's different, and you know how to control your own appetite. And I'm going to try to end before 20 minutes. But so I don't. I have lots of disagreements. I didn't get along in rehab. I want to rehab organically, but if I continue to fail at staying sober, I would put myself in a rehab. But I sure don't want to be in one that I can't stand. I want to be in one that's at least trying that seems to be helpful and is not silencing me from being able to give my testimony and learn and study and communicate with the world.